Hey everyone, and welcome to the Game Week 1 review video. Hope you all had a great opening game week. Um, I enjoyed it. It wasn't the absolute greatest, but it wasn't bad by any means for me. In this video, we're just going to be looking over how my team did, maybe talk a little bit about what's happening throughout the week, and especially because it's Game Week 1, just talk about some of the findings that we can learn from this game week that apply to this game that could be useful going forward. So first, we're going to take a look at my team. Uh, Starting from the back, Anselmer was a good choice to have in net. Obviously, Inter won 2-0. Um, Actually, was it 2-0? I thought it was, yeah, it was 2-0. Both goals by Lautaro Martinez. Um, uh, Osimhen and Lautaro owners this week looked really smart, spending all that money at the front, and you knew that that was always going to be a safe choice. It's just what could you do elsewhere in your team when you put that kind of money into your attack? But clearly, a great decision by those owners. Basically, if you search for the top rankings, everybody up there had those two players in their attack. But I did go twice, double dipped on the inter defense with Somero and DiMarco. So both of them, Somero obviously gets the double clean sheet. One thing I'm going to address with these defenders is these second clean sheets, though, that both DiMarco and Calabria, who AC Milan did well as well. They won 2-0 as well, and they both get seven, and both of them only got one clean sheet. Danilo with the 3-0 win for Juve got a double clean sheet, and then Spinazzola, Roma really blew it at the end, um, allowing, or no, sorry, not Roma didn't know. That was Lazio that really messed things up, but they did lose their clean sheet. Um, but anyway, so these were the results for the back four. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up with the defense is if you're more used to the English game than playing Fantasy Premier League, or you played Fanta Live from last season, once your defender hit 60 minutes and there were no goals against, you had your clean sheet points, and if the other team scored, they'd get taken away. But if your player got subbed, they'd still get that clean sheet. Right now, in order to get both sets of clean sheets, so 3 points twice, your player base essentially needs to play the whole game unless they play 90 minutes and get subbed in injury time, and then you'd still get it. So now there's a bit of an argument to be had where, yeah, for players like DiMarco and Calabria, um, they got their first clean sheet, which is good. But what's more the priority? Are we more banking on kind of a wing back like DiMarco and Calabria or Theo Hernandez to get an attacking return, which obviously would be more than the second clean sheet. But are we banking on that more likely happening, or the fact that you find a defender that maybe won't get the attacking returns but won't get subbed? Because generally your center backs are the ones that don't get subbed, but they're less likely to get the attacking returns, whereas your wing backs do more running, so they are more likely to get subbed during the game. But they're the ones that might get the attacking returns. So it's really a fine balance there between, do you bet on the attacking returns, the assist or goal that a player like DiMarco or Calabria or Theo Hernandez or Barahi or someone like that could have? Or do you try to go with the safety and get that full clean sheet point because they're not going to be subbed at the end of the day? So that's something that I'm going to be thinking about and balancing as to whether the defenders are better to be center backs that won't get subbed or wing backs that have attacking potential but might get subbed, which is what we saw here. The Juve defense was really interesting. Bremer was really the only natural center back that got played for Juve. On both of like the kind of other two center back roles were Danilo and Alexandro, who we've seen play wider positions before, and then even further off to the sides, we had more wing backs as well. Cambiaso was one, and I forgot who the last one was. As part of that starting 11. Going into the midfield, we have Zielinski got 4 points, wasn't able to have any significant contributions to the goals. We had Leao, who, despite the 2-0 win for Milan, Giroud kind of ran the show and a great debut by Pulisic. So another player to keep your eye on there. Nico Gonzalez, that's a funny one. I originally thought he didn't even start, but on the team sheet, it was written as Nico rather than his last name Gonzalez. So I was frustrated at first, and then I saw he scored, and I was wondering how that happened. And then I re-looked at the team sheet. I was like, oh, that was stupid on me, especially by putting it on social media. But he actually had a phenomenal game, scored a goal. Fiorentina themselves had a fantastic game. Um, Brahi, definitely a player that's a lot of people near the top of the ranks had, and a player worth considering at the end of the day. Um, but Fiorentina generally doesn't play as well as they did in game week one. So we'll see if they're just a new team this year, especially with Enzola seeming to be their starting striker up top. But we'll see there. But I'm definitely happy with Nico Gonzalez right now. Juric, a little disappointing there. He did not start. Actually, the person that started striking for Verona is not even a striker on fantasy. He was listed as a midfielder, I believe. He did end up subbing in and scoring a goal that got disallowed. But a major point there was Bonazzoli also came in and he scored, which based on form, you might think a manager might think, hey, this is the player that got me the return. He might earn a starting striker role over Juric. So at 4.8, I'm not really worried about having to sit Juric on the bench right now, need be, and I don't think he'd be starting for me this upcoming game week anyway. But may not be the guy that is going to start and take penalties every game because obviously you can't take penalties if you're not on the field, but maybe a little question mark about someone that I may replace and try to find more money to get a different striker up here at some point. Immobile did okay as expected, scored his goal that he basically gets every day. Lazio absolutely crumbled at the end against Lecce there, allowing the two goals in within like 3 minutes to lose the game. But at the end of the day, all we care about is the fact that Immobile scored. For those that chose Immobile over Lautaro Martinez, obviously Lautaro got one extra goal. So Lautaro and Osimhen owners win in that sense, but we didn't fall that far behind them. Some people I have seen, actually, a lot of people near the top had Osimhen, Lautaro, and Immobile, which that's a great attack. It Most of those people I saw basically had no bench support though. So if a player in their starting 11 gets injured, or suspended or something like that, that's going to have to be a transfer if you want to have 11 playing players start the next game week. But obviously, if that 11 stays healthy and they're playing every game, absolutely teams to be terrified of, to be truly honest. And as we all know, as part of the first set of games of the week, Osimhen scored two goals, great captaincy choice. Um, but yeah, overall, can't complain with the production that Osimhen had. Unfortunate for those Kvaratskhelia owners, he did not play game week one. I'm not sure if he's supposed to be back game week two or not. But yeah, so for people that didn't see the update on that, I did try to repost it on my Twitter page, but we'll hopefully you saw it in time. But overall, not a horrible game week. We ended with 93 points. The average was 81, and the highest is 133. So already a spread of 40 points for me, but I can see points coming thick and fast in this league. And as games go by, we're going to kind of learn more about where these points are coming from. There's a lot of braces this week. We had a brace from Osimhen, Belotti, Kandreva got a brace as well. I'm probably missing someone here. Um, Giroud got an assist and a goal. I forget if anyone on Fiorentina. It's just hard to do that all off of memory. I don't have the goal sheets like right in front of me here. But overall, an exciting game week and some players to keep an eye on. Barahi is a defender that definitely people should be looking out for. Other than that, I don't think any of the defenders were super standout other than just picking up their clean sheet points like the Juve defense. Glad I got rid of Gatti. He did not end up starting, which I did think that he was going to be, but I didn't want to take that risk and he didn't. So I'm glad I ended up moving him out. But overall, that's my team. Let's take a quick look at our league. Now, we have a really competitive league, it seems. 93 points out of 180 member, or actually, no, I think we're at 174. Let me just load this up. If it decides to load up, there we go. So 93 points out of 174, and I'm almost like halfway. So we have a really competitive league and way more people than we normally have in our league at 174. So this is going to be a fun league. We have a lot of people on 93, 92, and 94 here, but let's look. We have a three-way tie for first right now, so we'll take a look here. Um, I don't know how if I don't think I could pronounce that in any way, or necessarily the manager name Kurawi I'm gonna go with is tied for tops right now. Again, that triple attack there of Osimhen, Lautaro, and Immobile. We have El Shaarawy in the midfield. Took a chance on Pulisic at the start. Was great. Bonaventura, another one. Actually, did he get? He might have got a brace as well. I forget. A couple returns at least. And Lookman, and then a good defense here in DiMarco, Danilo, and Juan Jesus. Then we have Shenzi in net. But again, keeping in mind, nothing going on the bench right now, although Casale should end up in there at some point. But it just, if one of these players go down, that needs to be a transfer at the end of the day. And after game week one, you're generally looking to roll a transfer. Okay, but a good team there to start out. We'll go back and look at Snaker ISR. We a great attack here as well. Didn't take Lautaro, which is actually one of the few people that are up here that don't have Lautaro Martinez, but Giroud did just as well, pretty much. Osimhen captaincy as well with Immobile. And actually, this is really good because this is saving like almost 3 mil from having Lautaro in there with Giroud, who produced just as much. Now, I know that there's been rumblings about AC Milan potentially getting in a different striker to start with Giroud's age, but if he's still performing like this and he has that striker position, definitely a striker to consider at 8.6. Or another player, obviously, right now, especially with the fixtures, is Belotti as well as a player that I'd be considering. We have Nico Gonzalez, Rabiot, especially last season, had such a great season, and he doesn't seem like a player that's going to produce a lot of goals, but finds his way to get goals. So it's a player that sometimes is risky to take a flyer on. I'd honestly say Rabiot and Barella, I feel very similarly about. They do well in fantasy, and I feel like they shouldn't, which is why I don't pick them, but they do end up doing well. So both Rabiot and Barella did well there. Di Lorenzo and Dumfries. Di Lorenzo getting assisting both of Osimhen's goals, so a really good pick there. Dumfries doing well as well, got an assist. A 0-0 draw between, I think it was Torino and Cagliari, so that was a good pick there. We keeping this is actually sitting 25 points on the bench. Imagine the score with just Musso in and Barahi in instead of like Smalling or something. That would be an insane score. He would actually be first in fantasy right now, if he had his bench on right now. So great score to you, and I feel bad for you. Just as good as you're doing, it must hurt to see those 15 points on the bench. Or 25 points, I should say. And lastly, Panda Dog. Panda Dog, again, the Osimhen Martinez duo up here. Took the flyer on highly touted Ratucci. Should be a great player. Had a tough time this week, though. Good solid midfield here with Leao, Gonzalez, and Zaccagni. Spinazzola with 2 points, but had Barahi and Di Lorenzo, a great defensive combination right there for the week with Szczesny and 7 points from DeMarco there. Not a whole lot going on the bench, but some players that could end up subbing in if needed in the future. And that's how our league looks right now. So that's probably going to be it for this video. There's my team one more time for the week. We'll get back with a team selection shortly, probably around Thursday. And yeah, and then we'll be looking forward to game week 2. Let me know how your team did, what your thoughts are in the comments below. What do you plan on doing for this upcoming game week? I know personally I like to try to roll a transfer at least for game week 1. I'd like to think I've set myself up well for just beyond game week 1 to allow for flexibility, especially if Zurich is not going to actually be Verona's starting striker. I'd want to get someone else in there. And also, I believe Ebosele came off on a injury at some point there. So I do want to try to be banking at least one transfer, maybe consecutive weeks, just to allow some flexibility because it's hard to move players at low price points like this. Okay, Once again, please don't forget to like, subscribe. It's actually been fantastic with the amount of people that have. I thought before game week one, it was crazy to have 350 subscribers, and I'm already at like 386 or something like that. So thank you so much for all the support and for all the conversation that's being had. It's been a great game week one. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you for the team selection.